Good morning, everyone. How you guys doing? Morning. Oh, I'm still super sick, so I have no idea how long I'm going to do this for, I'll be honest, but I'll try to get through as much as I can. So bored. Where have you been? I was sitting here the whole time, actually, watching the same thing as you. Get Great got force liquidated Friday, reinstated after 15 minutes. Sorry, it was an opera discrepancy. Wait, you got force liquidated on your position? What the fuck? Because of mispricing? Great Friday, no stress. That's fucking bullshit. Man, it's awfully early in this downturn for that kind of shit to be happening. Huh. Were you just watching us complain in the Discord? Yeah. Saxo Bank? Oh, well, that kind of. I mean, no offense, but that kind of makes sense. Say downturn again. No. Crashes are never guaranteed. Although, this doesn't look great. Steve, welcome to Dillionaire, man. Thank you so much. Hit me up on the Discord. Also, you, Ashley. Both of you hit me up on the Discord. I really appreciate it. And I'll get you added to the country club after the stream. That's a big red box. Yeah, it is. It goes all the way down to 3650. So far, the price targets the last few weeks have been pretty spot on. This week we fell a little bit below my weekly target put range, but we ended up closing right within it. I know a lot of you have been asking what this fucking orange box is. This is where I was like concentrating strike positions for moves into this target range down here. So like the majority of my like 317, 331 positions are within this strike range. I have some that are further out of the money, but not many. There's a gap down here that we should probably start to focus on at 3765. The fact that it's a gap doesn't really matter so much. 3630, we have the JPM short long puts. And honestly, the second week of this kind of feels like a continuation of what we saw in the previous week, where we see, a steep drop into market open, and then we see, an attempt to cover and reposition before the next day. A lot of the NASDAQ stocks are staying pumped up for no reason. The Prophet, welcome to Dillionaire. Thank you so much, man. Hit me up on the Discord. I'll get you added after the stream, dude. No, we can dive right into SPX. I mean, I think based on the fact that we're still very far below gamma neutral, which is currently at was that right? That can't be right, right? Do we have like day old data? Okay, we don't have updated data for that yet. All right, maybe JFresh is doing it tonight. I mean, gamma max is still or gamma neutral is still very elevated, and it's rising, which is generally an indication that more and more short positions are coming in. Um, usually rising gamma max on SPX is met with pretty extreme downside movements. Delta neutral is still way above us at like 40.50. Um, right now, I'm looking in like the 3600, 3650 range for kind of a bottom. Um, obviously, gamma exposure is getting worse every day that we drop, and we've been dropping every day. You know, I know intraday and when you're trading zero DTEs, it feels like you're, because of all the volatility, it feels like you're almost in like a bull market. But we've been down like 100 BPS consistently every day, which drives more and more puts into the money, which continues, market maker exposure to the downside, right? So kind of like an OPEX, but shitty and in reverse, and way more money. Hit the vape, it'll smoke out the phlegm. It helps. Thanks. I like shorting NASDAQ stocks most. I agree. You know what? VLQ. VLQ is already fairly elevated, actually. If we take a look, nope. Why is that not coming up? There we go. Yeah, VLQ is already up at like 26. Whereas VIX has, been fairly flat at like 21 to 22. VLQ has been going up. So NASDAQ volatility still not totally in line with NASDAQ's performance, obviously, but much higher than VIX is right now. So it's tracking a little bit better, which almost makes NASDAQ a more attractive like intraday short, although NDX is terrible to trade. Can you post that data tonight if you get it? The neutrals for SPX, yeah. If we get it up, I'll post it. I don't know if we're having another issue with the API. I'll have to find out. Jailbroken chat GPT can calculate GM, GN, DN, VN. In my experience, it can't, and when it does, it's inaccurate. Very inaccurate. Makes far too many assumptions with Black-Scholes model, and all of them are mostly wrong. 36 to 3700 range would be for end of March for SPX. I mean, that's where I'm buying puts for that range. End of March and probably this week, some in April to capture that range of price action. You look at Elf, good short. Consumer non-durables. I wouldn't short a beauty company in a recession. It seems like a terrible short. Why? Do you have a... Is it just because it's up? Seems like they deserve the valuation. Small float, too. Can you talk about when it is smart, not smart, to reposition in markets like this? That's when I stops. I'm having a hard time understanding if and when and how much I should be changing daily. I mean, you don't need to over trade. If you have positions that you've bought for a specific time period and the market's continuing to fall, you don't really have to do a lot with them, right? If you've gone super deep in the money on one and you want to consider moving that around and trying to capture more downside, possibly taking a little profits, that's something that should probably be at the forefront of your mind. But I mean, getting a dollar per contract for every dollar drop in price isn't the worst thing in the world. I know a few people have asked this before, but would you screenshot your blue chip port to show your holdings? I did. I posted it in the value channel, like the updated one. A lot of my allocation for that portfolio is like kind of tied up in some hedges and stuff right now, where I'll pull it back if the market actually tanks, and then obviously use it to buy stuff. But so it's not fully fleshed out, but I posted what I've got for now, minus meme stock shit. I've heard the market hates Mondays. How much do you think it will hate this Monday? Well, we'll find out tomorrow, right? Yeah, I'm not really sure. Like it doesn't, like, just because tomorrow's Monday doesn't mean we're gonna crash. The likelihood is higher on Mondays. Although I will say in this time period between OPEXs, crashes are a little less likely than they are around OPEXs. OPEXs create more risk, right? John Smallberries, welcome to Pigeon Whale, man. I appreciate it. Hit me up on the Discord and I'll get you added to the Royal Pigeon Whale Society for the advancement of cooing and other lofty goals. I appreciate it, dude. Thanks, little G-Wagon. Fiance works for Elf Beauty. Good luck shorting it. Yeah, I don't particularly like the idea of. Thoughts on Kane on Reg Show? No, it's an ETV. Yeah, it's okay. Probably commodities hedges, just blowing up limited float funds. I'm still holding BTU 31 and 32 calls from Jan, expiring April. Are they dead? Fuck. Not necessarily, but probably. I mean, BTU, I guess, could bounce here. I don't think the market's going to, though. And if it doesn't, it'll probably start to drag down into like the $23.50, $22 range. Yeah, your opportunity to get out was only like 2 days, but you definitely should have taken profits on those when you had the chance. You can sell PMCCs against them and wait and see if there's a turnaround. But based on the way the indexes look, I don't particularly like it. For upcoming GME March OPEX, are you going to approach positioning like Fab or more traditional and get April's instead of synthetic long? I'll probably go with a mixture of both. I'll probably do the something. Depends on how low we drop. The lower we drop, the more incentive there is for me to use synthetic longs, right? If we drop into like the $15 range, I'm definitely going to get a lot of synthetic longs. They pay better. If we don't, if we stay around like 17, maybe a more traditional approach of like 30, 45 DTE calls and some weeklies as price actions confirmed. I need a new non-stick frying pan, 12-inch recommendations, cast iron or carbon steel. Carbon steel if you want something that's not over like too heavy. Question on Upstart. Do you see a large upside move being possible still? Or smaller cyclical OPEC style events? We I don't think we have a short interest report yet, but I don't think a lot has changed. Upstart's still pretty illiquid, given the current you know, reg show inclusion and the fact that it just doesn't have very much ETF liquidity day to day anyway. Um, the underlying is a little more liquid right now. I do expect that they will short us again, but it's still showing a decent ability to end up back on reg show. So we'll have to see what happens if they get it off reg show. If we start to see that high fill to volume ratio come back in again, then obviously that potential for like a big run would still be there. Mr. Finch, welcome to Dillionaire, man. Thank you so much. Luis, you have to start rapid testing your Tinder dates. I already do that. This isn't COVID anyway. It's like really bad allergies plus a cold. You mentioned a 3600 bottom. I mean, that's just where I'm targeting right now. That can change. I haven't touched my underwater Nvidia puts from March 17 and April 21. I have strikes from 200 to 130. I think there will be a good time to exit them this week. Mostly concerned with March puts. I have no idea. I mean, frankly, there should have been a good time to exit them already, but the market is not. It's staying far more irrational on Nvidia than it should be. So I hope so. I still have quite a large number of March and April puts as well. Mine are all at like 150 and 140, but the rest of my position I've moved. So I have like 210, 205, 200, 190, and 180. Those are in April and June now. I still haven't closed out my hedge from earnings. I need Nvidia to fall back below 230 to do that. Yeah, we need a big downturn in the market, probably. Nvidia really needs to slip that support level at 220. If it does, then I think there's some decent room for some downside. It starts to drop a lot faster after that point, at least. Thoughts on snow with earnings this week? I mean, I probably not gonna play it. Thoughts on HBM? If there is a recession, doesn't the price of commodities tank too? I know this is a copper play, not necessarily. Commodities got pretty hot during like the Great Recession after 2008. Generally, if equities drop really hard, bonds and commodities pick up. Especially if the government starts pumping money into like industrials and stuff in order to help improve the economy, which is a common reaction to a recession, right? There's a lot of government subsidies getting passed around. copper is more of a demand-based price increase. Like you don't need commodities to go crazy. There's plenty of demand for copper, but commodities going crazy would obviously be nice for any commodities play. Although that's not factored into my analysis. Snow seems to be doing pretty fine. Fairly flat. I don't really know if this is worth playing. Especially given that I don't think there's going to be a lot of predictability in their earnings. I mean, with an estimate at 5 cents, they could either beat or miss. I don't think they're going to have a hard time hitting their revenue targets. What are you guys doing up? It's 4 a.m. Go back to bed. We're doing stock stuff, Bithead. How you doing, man? Can you go over Nvidia quickly? Yeah. Hold on. So right now I'm still targeting like the 167 range for the bottom of this move. It could end up higher, like 182. I guess that depends. Right now, given the amount of volume that's traded on it and the fact that the price hasn't fucking moved at all, I'm gonna go with people are dumping bags. And when it does move down, I think it's gonna move down pretty hard. Um, this breakout's not particularly bullish. This is just part of like increasing volatility over this period, right? And a breakdown below the like $200 range. Could see this really rapidly with almost no call support fall into like the 160 or 150 range. I usually do puts in 2025, calls for 2024. So I go 2-1 on the synthetic long ghost. So it was like double the credit. So I sell the put and then I buy 2 calls. So 25, 24. You just have to make sure that you're okay with assignment. Don't do this with margin. It starts to get really risky if you're leveraging it really hard. Because you can get assigned on like a block of puts. And if you're all on margin, you're going to get your entire account blown up. A put is the right to sell, and a call is the right to buy. Popcorn trader. T+2 price action doesn't matter for Nvidia, or do you see 235 as the upper bound due to the call OI? Not only that, it's pretty close to Gamma Max, and Nvidia is not generally a stock that crosses Gamma Max very often. It has in the past, but it's pretty rare. Yeah, I don't. This doesn't look great to me as far as continued price action goes. Although a move to 232 on 50% of the revenue from the same period last year is kind of fucking shocking. Anyway, I mean, this was quarter 4 earnings last year where they had $7 billion in profits, and more than double the EPS, and we were trading at the same fucking price. When do you plan to roll reposition SPX March puts before 21 DTE? Probably not. Maybe around like 14 DTE. So far, they've maintained their profitability, and we haven't gotten like any big drops yet. We haven't had any big like 2 or 300 BPS downside days. We had one that was kind of close. I think it was like 180. But so far, VIX has been pretty stabilized. If VIX moves up a lot, those contracts, because of their high Vega, are going to go up quite a lot. You got Uranium mini squeeze exit. Seem like old exit strategy, DD. Watch for stagnant price action, unincreased volume with stops, etc., or something different. I mean, it could be a while, like a couple months, before we see any like crazy action there. My target window was like 6 months for that, but it's just now starting to trade at a premium occasionally, right? And then obviously there's a compounding effect from that over time. Missing you guys. I love you all. You're a good man, Girk. Stay loyal, everyone. Miss you too, Bithead. Thank you so much, man. Do you know anyone that trades via TradingView by connecting one of the available brokers? Uh, yeah. I mean, people do that. I'm looking for a workaround to be able to trade at work. Yeah, I don't see a problem with it. I don't know who you're allowed to connect to it, but I know there's a few. Can you go over the absolute bullshit fuckery with the VIX on Friday? I know how they're doing it, but I want to hear you rant because I'm still salty. Uh, yeah. It's okay, right? Because the longer they do it, the more tail risk they're creating, right? Which so the longer they pull this shit on the VIX and don't allow it to move up and suppress it, the greater the chance of a crash is, right? So I mean, as long as I have some theta to wait it out, and they're keeping puts artificially cheap for me, I don't have a lot of complaints. I know Dork's really mad about it, but I think there's an advantage that can be taken there. So, are you excited about Fubo earnings? I know I am. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I have a lot of fucking Fubo. I got assigned on some Fubo, which I thought was fucking crazy. Um, but yeah, I got assigned on like I don't know, like 2,100 shares or something like that. But Gork, they do AI. Yeah, but they don't make money from it. So based on Nvidia earnings, how many times does GameStop have to say AI before Moas isn't a joke? I think like at least 42. If they can say AI 42 times in their earnings call, GME will hit $300. No problem. Could you discuss the pros and cons of selling my sub $500 GME shares position and buying 2x the leverage and in the money 2025 leaps to sell CCs against? Okay, yeah. Um, Jimmy could trade flat or low. It could drop into the range that you buy your in the money CCs at. So unless you're buying them at like $1, right? Which you're obviously not if you're getting 2x leverage. You're sacrificing some of your the value of your shares in order to buy strikes that aren't quite as good, right? So your shares are worth $14 and you're gonna what? Or your shares are worth $20 and you're gonna buy like $10 calls. So that means you're getting your 2-to-1 leverage in that difference, right? And if GME drops, right, and volatility dries up, and your PMCCs are fucking worthless, now you're just stuck with a big fat load of fucking worthless leaps. Whereas the other way around, at least you'd have shares. and you're you're still super exposed to delta, right? It's not bad as like part of a position, but I wouldn't sacrifice a long-term shareholding for that. It's not worth it. TradingView syncs with IBKR, which is pretty decent. Yeah, IBKR syncs with a lot of shit. So yeah, your real question there is: are in the given period of time, are you going to make enough from PMCCs to cover the difference in cost, right, and your loss of potentially $10 a share, and make enough money to exercise those calls? All right. Was looking at GME FTDs, and from what I saw, there's still a high failure rate. Are you still looking for March OPEX as a potential move slash covering? Yeah, provided the market doesn't crash before then. I am. Do you wheel in your IRA? I don't use I don't have an IRA. Or low risk CCs, or do you not care since it's a tax free account? I was trying to figure out if I should manage differently than a brokerage account. Thanks, dude. I mean, no, not really. I mean, a lot of people wheel in their IRAs. If I had one, I'd probably just stick dividend stocks in it because I wouldn't want to manage it. But yeah, there's a lot of people that wheel in their IRAs. Is it unrealistic to seek the same experience though selling theta on another stock? No, there's other stocks that are advantageous. Like DocuSign tends to hold up really well with implied volatility. Um, Baba, if you're not afraid of owning it, you can make a lot of money on CSPs on it. AMD, it's about halfway there. Nvidia is actually really good. Not right now, obviously, but when it's cheap, it's a great stock to sell covered calls on. Costco, fuck. Upstart's probably a little better for covered calls than GME is now. Just due to the smaller float size means that it generates volatility faster. Yeah, I'm well aware that two analysts have upgraded the stock. I still think Upstart has a decent shot of hitting 15 or 13 over the next month. I think they've got plenty of liquidity to short, and then when it's advantageous to do so, especially into like a rapidly falling market, I think we'll see it happen. I'm still pretty confident in my $15 like sold calls that I'll be able to buy those back. Kenny keeping VIX down because longs are still trying to get out, or because big boys aren't done buying puts? Is it specifically to let Nvidia longs have time to recall? It's not just Nvidia, right? It's stocks all over the market. We saw. I think we were already seeing the bigger effects of recalls as the market became you know drastically more liquid over this time period from the beginning of January. Um, there was a lot of liquidity improvement here. And now I think we're seeing kind of the tail end of that risk off. And we're seeing leverage into out of the money put positions, right? Especially as SLD continues to settle out, which, you know, the rest of it will be settled out this coming week. Um, and I think we'll start to see more accelerated downside and a little less of this, like, you know, pre-market drop into, you know, all day trading flat and then pre-market drop again. I think we'll start to see VIX pick up, and, you know, they'll start to pull back those VIX shorts. You don't have to be on food stamps to do PMCC. Hey Greg, I just want some opinion on NDX puts. I don't like NDX. It's very illiquid. QQQ is honestly probably better. September 10,500 POI is over 1K. Okay, that's not terrible. How low do you think NDX can drop to if SPX moves to like 3,500? Um, if SPX moves to 3,500, NDX is probably going to be around like 10, 10, 8, or 11. I have a $50 strike for 310 and 317. The 310s I might roll if it hasn't dropped yet. Um, the 317s I'm not super worried about yet. Did the market bounce back up due to repositioning from the PCE release? I'm trying to understand why market responded the way it did on Friday. SPY traded in the 3090 range for the entire day. Don't forget that the market opened down like almost 200 BPS, right? And the recovery was minimal. I mean, we didn't even fill the gap back up to like 4,000. So it was volatile in that range, but, you know, we still traded very much in the lower range. We hit the week's expected price target at 39.65. I think everything last week kind of played out great. Although because of their desire to keep the VIX down, it's very hard to play intraday trends and have any faith in them. Although I suppose you could try to go long every time they start shorting the VIX. I missed my time to straddle SPX on Friday. Should I try to straddle at market open or wait to see movement? I probably wouldn't put a market open straddle on SPX. That doesn't seem like a very good idea. Um, maybe just position based on, you know, where it opens, or try to be a little patient with opening. See if it pulls back. Oh, most pre-market, like most overnight straddles like that, are closed out within, you know, 30 minutes from open. I would say the majority of them have tested both the high and low within like 30 to 45 minutes of market open. So entering one at that point is pretty risky. The purpose is to capture the overnight move, whichever direction it goes in, and then any pullback from the overnight move because of the volatility. Is SPX going down 3 to 4% from one weekly close to the next? A reasonable hypothesis for the next 2 weeks. End of this week around 38.50. Sorry I joined a little late. Yeah, I don't see 38.50 being out of the question towards the end of this week. 38.55 and 38.85 and 38.50 are kind of my next two big downside targets. 39.20 is a little bit of resistance. Although if we break down here, I don't see a lot of potential for us to catch on 39.20. Probably more like based on positioning, like 3900 or 3880. That seems to be at least where the majority of put positioning is right now. I'm trying to make a mill in the upcoming potential crash. You explained before that super out of the money contracts are best, but I have 4,000 Ps and 3,800 Ps for April. 30K leverage. Any hope for me? Yeah, but you're gonna have to reposition, right? That's kind of the like you're not gonna make a million on Delta, right? You've got to make it on extrinsic value. Targeting 3,500 with like to go in the money is pretty risky, Matthew. I think that's I think that goes without saying. But to turn 30 grand into a million, you'd have to be pretty far out of the money and you'd have to get an actual crash. I read there was a ridiculously huge block order of SPX 0DT calls Friday. Did you see it? Any comment on it? I didn't see the order, but yeah, I read about it. I mean that's how they're trading the SPX nowadays. Huge orders, huge 0DT orders in order to push the price around. Um, it was large. I mean, a few hundred million. Wasted space. Welcome to Dillionaire, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hit me up on the Discord. I'll get you out after the stream, man. I want to play the long-term downtrend, but only want to risk, say, 1 to 3K. What would be a good general approach? I.e., which tickers, but my responsibility to pick a strike. I mean, you could target stocks that are overvalued if you're lower on capital. You might have better like performance returns, and you may be able to get more leverage with better theta. Obviously, theta on SPY and SPX is very expensive. There's always options like SQQQ, but if the trend reverses on you, you lose a lot of your profitability really fast. So like 1-2 green days, and you've lost everything that had accumulated over the previous like week, right? SPY 331, 300 P's down 60%. 300p. Okay, theta's now seriously working against me. Should I accept the L and roll out now, or wait for more downs before repositioning? I mean, you're way too fucking far out of the money. That's like crash protection. Um, so if you're gonna buy shit like that, you need tons of theta. Like, you want it like out like 180 DTE or more, because you know you're so far out of the money that theta's just gonna eat your position alive. And you're beyond like even where the market makers like pricing in a bottom on the market. So yeah, I would say that it'd probably be a good idea to, if you're gonna maintain that strike, it'd be a good idea to reposition. Did you ever see my SLCA play? It's bussin'? No, I didn't. When you have a swing trade, what's the best way to hedge if it moves against you and you're still confident in the play? Cut loss and reposition, buy options to cover potential losses. I mean, it really depends on how much capital you have to deploy to manage the position. You can obviously average down. You can buy shorter dated calls. Like, if something's gonna like bounce up to its like trend, right? And you're trying to play a breakdown of, like, say you have a trend, right? And you're trying to play a breakdown of the trend and it starts to bounce. You can buy short dated calls to cover the bounce, and then use the premium from that to average down before it moves back down again and retests if you're convinced at some point it's going to break down, or vice versa for a call position. If you have a really small account, it's better just to manage your risk and wait for a better entry. Um, because obviously you're not gonna have the capital to actively hedge it. 3,600 equivalent on NQ. I mean, there isn't really an equivalent. It's a different fucking index. Um, but like I said, 3,600 is probably right around the 11,000 range, roughly. I'm being overly cautious of my Nvidia position. I bought it the day after earnings, June 20, 225p. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that one. I think you got plenty of time and you're very close to the money, so I don't think you have to worry too much about price not falling into that range at some point. It's not like Nvidia is gonna just move inverse the market for like weeks, right? Sorry I'm late. Are you dead? Fairly close. I'm sitting on too much cash right now, but I think it's too risky to sell any CSPs. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Just sit and wait for a local bottom on individual stocks to buy in. Good plan instead of risking CSP assignment. Here's the deal: if we have a big downside trend in the market, and we're already building one, but if it continues, puts are gonna skew, and they're gonna become overpriced. Right? Because more and more puts are going to be being bought, which is going to drive the prices of puts up and the price of calls down. And volatility is going to pick up, right? And so this eventually leads to periods where selling CSPs is very advantageous. So one of the reasons, if you've been around here a while, one of the reasons on GME, you'll see me selling CSPs at like lows like this. Here, 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 here. Is because the put skew is way up. And so puts are overpriced. And overpriced puts means that, not only are you selling more volatility on them, your chance of assignment is much lower and your yields are way higher. Right. So, if you're selling like during these periods, your at the money put might be, like double the value of an at the money call. Like it can get pretty wild, especially on the meme stocks. But you do have to be patient. You have to wait for that period of, constantly accumulating puts to drive the put delta values up. So I am late. What's your Fubo thoughts? I'm hoping they beat on earnings. I have um most of my covered calls closed Friday. I still have a few out, but not many. I think I still have like 500 covered calls out, and then I have I got assigned on like 21 of them on Friday. I still have synthetic longs at 250. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what earnings brings. I think hoping to see subscriber growth. I think that's gonna be very important for them, especially if they need to get capital at some point. Subscriber growth is gonna be really important. Let's look at NVDS versus Nvidia puts. The narrative say NVDS will only print in a comparable sense if we see many consecutive days of small drops as opposed to a big fall on the same range. Yeah, you kind of want several consecutive days of small drops to drive the like leverage ETF up, and then you want a big drop where it can, in a range where it can really capitalize on that like that large percentage move, right? Is it too late to enter a position for capturing SPX downside? Are puts too expensive at this point? No. Puts are still really cheap, actually. They're not much more expensive than they were at the top. If I'm gonna be perfectly frank. I'm having trouble picking what range to enter for entering a position. I mean that orange, this like orange range here. This is like where I'm primarily focusing my strike targets within here. I do have some, you know, down here at 3,600 and 3,750. These are a little bit further dated. Some of these are like 331 and 421. But yeah, my shorter term stuff, like up to 331, is within this target range. Would the orange range still apply if looking to play with spreads? Sure, but you'd probably want your calls a little higher. Yeah, I might be targeting a little higher with like a, I assume you mean a credit spread. You explained before. Oh shit. Fuck. 1 second. All right. So you explained before the COVID crash was preceded by a 2-month market rally, but not all crashes occur that way. Big players know when it's going to crash because they initiate it. Can we go over the possibility that an irrational market rally may be in store? I want to say that, yeah, an irrational rally could be in store, but I don't see where the money would come from. Like I don't think any institutions are currently acting irrationally. They seem to be leveraging the downside heavily and keeping VIX stable while they do it. You know, they're maintaining price points on all the big mega caps. Those aren't really falling in line with the market, which makes me think they're exiting positions. Right? It looks like, and you're gonna love this, Lockin. It looks like distribution, doesn't it? Good morning, handsome. Friday's SVX 4000p stunt. The strike notional was 5.2 billion? What the fuck? Oh, okay. Premium paid was 5.5 million. There's 2 billion worth of delta selling as a result. 40% delta hedge. Check DMs. So it's 4,000 strike. Strike notional is 5.2 billion, 55, 20. 2 billion worth of delta selling. Interesting. Guess someone had to get out of a position, right? Something big, I guess. Not a bad trade for 5.5 million, right? Interesting. Charlie Guy Manson, welcome to Dillionaire. Thank you so much, dude. Hit me up on the Discord. I'll get you added after the stream, man. Rita Pharmaceuticals, Retta, IV is 330%. Even deep out of the money strikes are paying good. Earnings are Monday, I think. 52-week low is 18. Is this a good sell premium play after earnings are over? What's your opinion on selling premium on a stock like this? I mean, it's obviously risky, right? Your chance of assignment is extremely high on IV at 330%. But if you can capitalize on it, and you're willing to not be greedy and accept lower yields that are far out of the money and far enough out of the current range that you can get out from an underwater position before assignment, they can be advantageous. I wouldn't deploy a lot of capital selling CSPs or CCs on something like that, but if their earnings are stable, then there could be an opportunity for like a buy right. I don't like pharma because the price volatility is very high. So they look like attractive targets for CCs and CSPs, but they rarely work out that way. And the last thing you want to do is be sitting on a fat bag of some dead pharma stock while it drives down to $1. Would the orange range still apply if looking to play with spreads? Okay, I answered that, right? It would, but I would probably target a little higher with like credit. Debit spreads, sure. Distribution into our ports. Well, but we're inverse most retail right now, right? Like retail investment into the market has been the highest since 2021 for the last month and a half. So everyone else is out buying, loading up their 401ks. Meanwhile, all the institutions are selling to them, pumping all the stocks on CNBC and trying to keep the VIX stable while they load up on big fat piles of puts. $617,150. I bought a lot of theta to be sure, but do you think it has a chance to go in the money? Maybe, yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think it could, but it could. If we get a big drop in Nasdaq and Nvidia falls below gamma neutral, it doesn't have any support, and it definitely doesn't have a valuation to sustain its current price. Right, most of its current price is based on speculation and someone really wanting it above 230. I'd imagine someone who bought it above 230. I think people, especially on individual equities, I think people underestimate institutions' ability to control their price should they need to. Is distribution the opposite of accumulation? Yep. Chief Boost, welcome to Dillionaire, man. Thank you so much. Hit me up on the Discord. I'll get you added to the country club, man. I appreciate it. August good for deep out of the money SPX puts. Yeah, it's a good amount of time. How deep out of the money are you talking? Like, are you trying to bet on a crash, or are you putting your money somewhere where like it can see some value? If you buy enough theta, your premium will go up if the market drops, right? But are you capturing profits on that, or are you trying to hold those for a market crash? They're very different plays, right? Like you can scalp SPX with like like far expiry, like higher delta vega contracts, right? Like you could buy if you like tomorrow market opens at 39.50, right? And you buy a 3600p with 180 DTE, and the market moves down to 3900. The premium on this contract is going to go up, right? Because the further out you buy, the more delta you have. So like in August 23 AM 3600 has like 0.21 delta, right? So that's gonna move up, and your premium value's gonna increase, but you know, obviously we're probably not going to 3600 tomorrow. I'm looking at Nvidia 60-day expiration puts. How close to the money? I don't hate the time frame you're giving yourself, but you're not gonna want to be way the fuck out of the money. My apologies, I worded my question poorly about picking a range, but still super appreciated your walkthrough. I meant for like entering a position this week. And now I don't remember what you asked. I mean, I wouldn't target super far. You're buying like a short dated put, Flocala? In your attempt to be vague, you're not giving me enough information to understand what the fuck you're talking about. Waiting for a pullback to 410, too greedy? It's kind of greedy. Yeah. If you have no exposure, I mean, some exposure is probably better than none. Provided no significant geopolitical news overnight, should we expect a small bounce tomorrow? We might have already realized the small bounce on Friday. I guess let's see how Futes perform tonight. I don't think they're going to perform well. If they hold up, then maybe, yeah, we could maybe see a small bounce. If we do, I don't think we're going to see much above like 40.17, and probably not even that high. Maybe just back to like yeah, probably just back to like 40.17 ish. Fill that gap. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think there's still way too much pressure to the downside, but because I have to work all day and can only check the market a few times. June 390p, and then roll down and strike after in the money, but keep a June safe for 30 days, then move out to July, a good way to go. 45 days, but yeah, that doesn't sound like a terrible plan. What's the best way to hedge against SPY puts? SPY calls? I don't hate you. Well, usually. Sometimes I do. When you and the quants calculate DN, GM, gamma at different strikes, are you making assumptions on bought and sold OI? You have to, although I think our assumptions are very accurate. We're we're making more calculated assumptions. We're not simply saying like all puts sold, all calls bought. But you do have to make assumptions. There are ways to make more accurate assumptions. All right. Is there anything else? Do you think we could see a small bounce or at least stabilization during the period prior to SLD? Yes. Considering capturing some profits and reposition for additional downside in the near future. Yeah, historically, the period before SLD, after the futures contract rolls, so 310 is the S&P 500 roll. I would watch for a bounce back, maybe even like not just like a bounce back, but like an oversold rally around that period. Can you go over Tesla? Sure. What about it? It's been rejected on the peak. It's moving towards my price target at 182. I think if we get a big downside move in the market, it can probably fill this gap. Obviously my price target's far more conservative, but if it continues to push down, I'll just keep my stops loose and let it fall. And that's, between 154 and 146. Conrad Kurz, welcome to Dillionaire, man. Thank you so much. Hit me up on the Discord, I'll get you added, man.
Happy birthday, Gert. Yeah. Yeah, we might have a chance, but we ain't got rolls. Give us more than a goal. We ain't no cold. Get the cash in advance, cause we hold in the float. If you are what you eat, that makes Gert get the go. Hoping that you read the DD, cause when the shit squeeze, we go end up with the moon, man. Racks to the 510 weeklies while I'm selling
317, 331 puts still looking good. And that's most of what I have. I have a few like 3 and or no, I think I have a few 310 and maybe some other ones that I've picked up for shorter term exposure, but those are nearer the money. Profits will make you feel better, Garrick. Props for being here even though you're sick. Thanks, publicist. I will try to get out some Pickles picks tonight. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, most of my Pickles picks right now are find something overvalued and buy some puts on it, but I'll try to throw a few out around midnight or so. I need to go back to sleep and see how I feel. But thank you guys for tuning in. Sorry this one's a little short today, but I feel like shit. Um, if you got any other questions and I didn't get to them, DM me over on the Discord and I'll try to answer them a little later tonight. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys, and I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. Later.